So we are now on to module 3 in our Life After Religion course. And this module is learning new tools for liberative living. There are a few initial considerations that I would like to share about this. The first of which is that you are now in the driver's seat in terms of what spirituality is for you and creating the life that you want after religion. Others no longer get to decide or set the parameters for what a spiritual life is for you. Let me offer a mindset about what spirituality or spiritual even is, or what it could be in your life. What is spiritual after all? Consider the possibility that something that is spiritual or spirituality is whatever nurtures, touches, calls forth, or energizes that innermost life within you, that spirit, that consciousness, those deep feelings, your higher awareness within you. Perhaps to put it a bit more simply, it's that which nurtures, touches, calls forth, or energizes love, beauty, wholeness, peace, joy, and well-being. I sometimes use the phrase, life is my religion, and the idea is that all of life is sacred. All of life is filled with the possibilities of being connected to your innermost being, of being connected to the reality of love and oneness and wholeness and peace and joy. So it could be anything, it can be everything. But the purpose of this module partly includes identifying and exploring what that is uniquely for you. Now, I hope that's a liberating thought to begin to create and explore what spirituality is for you going forward. But I also realize that there are some challenges to this for people who are coming out of religion. One of those challenges is what I call religious codependency. What I mean by codependency is that a lot of people, through their involvement in religion, really lost themselves in their compliance and conformity to the expectations and standards and the rules of religion. They lost their individuality. They became out of touch with their natural selves. And so it can be a big transition to begin to live life from the inside out. After so many years of deferring to the externals of religion to decide for us what to think, what not to think, what to feel, what not to feel, what to do or what not to do, the way the religion defined what is sacred and what is secular. And so although it's liberating, it can be a bit of a daunting task to now take ownership of your spiritual life for yourself and to begin directing and charting your path from the inside out. A key concept that really goes along with this idea is the idea of authenticity. What I mean by authenticity is the path of being yourself, listening to yourself, honoring your deepest feelings and thoughts, honoring your uniqueness and individuality, noticing what comes naturally for you and accepting that and embracing that and developing and charting your path going forward out of those things, out of being authentic, honoring who you really are. And maybe it's going to take some time for you to discover what that is and who you are, because we've spent so many years in religion, kind of contorting our personality to please somebody else. And so some of the very simplest questions about what brings you peace, what brings you joy, what makes you whole it may require some really personal work to really get down to those answers for yourself. Now, there'll be some other obstacles also as you do this. It's going to require you to silence your shoulder. You know, there's a way that religion sort of shoulds all over us. You should do this, do that. You should think this or think that. There's a lot of shoulds that are involved in religion. And I think people, even after they leave religion, they can sort of have that voice in the back of their mind, that should thing that we learned in religion. And so you're going to have to be aware of that shoulder that sometimes can pop up. You know, this path that you're taking, living a liberating life, determining what spirituality is for you, it's going to require at times you driving in what I call the I don't give a damn gear. What I mean by that is your path of liberation is not necessarily going to involve a red carpet rolled out and people lining the path, celebrating your journey into freedom. Now, hopefully there are some people who are going to support and encourage and accept you where you are, but you know, there are going to be people who are going to offer resistance. There are going to be people who disapprove of the choices that you're making, people who are going to judge, condemn, oppose the path that you're on. So it's going to require some courage and some muscle, some moxie to move forward with your life after religion and you defining what it means for you to be spiritual. So this is very much one of those damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead sort of thing that's going to not be something that all happens at once, but is going to be a process. And so a very useful tool is the activity or the assignment that is in the written content for Module 3. It is giving you the opportunity to begin to explore and answer some of those questions about what spirituality means for you, what it is that brings joy and peace, what resonates with your innermost feelings, what is it that makes you feel connected with yourself and feelings of connectedness and oneness and harmony. And so the Module 3 activity is very important. I hope you will take the ample time and reflection to address and kind of work through that particular activity. It's not the kind of thing that probably you're going to do in one sitting. That's just going to take 30 minutes. And so, could take a few days, but give it your fullest attention and energy as you work through that. Now, with the rest of this video, I'd like to simply prime the pump and expanding the possibilities of what a spiritual life might mean for a person who's creating a life after religion. Now, this is just a short list, and this is only designed to kind of expand your thinking about this. A lot of people who come out of religion, they have what I call the hardening of the categories. You know, religion sliced up the world in sacred and secular and limits God and the divine to a very a very limited number of things. And so I'm just using this list as a way of sort of opening up some new possibilities as you work on this Module 3 assignment. So I want to share a few of those. The first of which is consider the possibility of a more earthy spirituality. What would it mean for you to nurture a more integral relationship with the natural world, with nature, with the earth, with the universe? You know, so much of religion is about separation, that mindset. We're separated from God, we're separated from each other, we're separated from nature and the universe, and it's simply not true. You are not separate from, but you are actually a part of the natural world. You are part of the universe. The stuff of the oceans and the earth and the universe are a part of who you are. It's coursing through your veins. It's an elemental aspect of who you are. You are a part of the natural world. You're not separated from it. And so that's a mindset that you can carry going forward, just exploring what that relationship between you and the natural world and what it means for you to appreciate and explore being part of that. There's a couple quotes that I really like along these lines. One says that never does nature say one thing and wisdom another. In other words, there's so much that we can learn from a more earthly spirituality, from even knowing and understanding and learning and living in the rhythms of nature and the natural world. There is a divine, a spiritual wisdom that we notice as we observe and we're part of the natural world. In fact, there's another quote that says the goal of life is living in agreement with nature. And it's just an acknowledgement that there's so much to gain from understanding our lives as in connection and relationship with the natural world. Look, the truth is that we already, in fact, are in an integral relationship with the natural world. We are not separated from it. But what I'm saying here is to take some time and explore that connection and consider it a part of your spirituality going forward. Explore the transcendentalists like Emerson and Thoreau and Margaret Fuller, who had a very robust and rich understanding of an earthly spirituality. Nurture a love for and a kinship with nature. Explore what it might mean for you to live in harmony with the rhythms of the natural world. Be in nature. Perhaps you will make a new spiritual practice to spend time alone in nature. Bring your journal along and record what your experiences are like and what you are seeing, how it's impacting you and what is coming up and what are you learning from being part of nature, the wisdom that is there in nature. Start and tend a garden, stargaze, learn more about the elements of nature itself. And these things are all a part of what it could mean for you to be a spiritual person going forward. Speaking of nature, we've got quite a windy morning here, which is wonderful, but it's rattling my shades. But being a part of exploring what it means to live in that connection that you have with the natural world. Here's another one. Consider the possibility that what it means to be spiritual going forward is your companionship with and caring for animals. It's sort of also another, I guess, aspect of the natural world, but this one is a little bit different. To really think about your connection with animals as a part of your spirituality going forward. I have 3 special needs animals: a broke leg greyhound dog, a 3-legged cat, and an elder cat. And our companionship together is a very meaningful part of my life and a part of my spirituality. Caring for them and our connection with each other has had a profound impact on who I am. And so consider that you adopting, caring for a companionship that you might cultivate with an animal could be a very important aspect of what it means for you to be spiritual going forward. Another possibility in thinking about this is kind of work on this assignment, this activity module 3 is and where do you feel most at home with yourself and where you feel like your innermost self is really energized and drawn forth into action. You know, another thing to consider is that maybe what being spiritual for you going forward is breaking the silence. There's so much suffering in our world because people are silent. Maybe you are here because you were meant to speak. What would it mean for you to courageously speak your truth, to tell your story, to take a stand on those things that you are passionate about? What injustices or needs in our world draw forth this desire to break the silence, to no longer turn a blind eye to the pain and suffering of our world, but to speak? I also lead a Letting the Words Out writers workshop, which is helping and empowering people to get their story out, to break that silence, to speak their truth. And maybe this is a big part of what it means for you to be going forward in your life after religion. I mean, so much about religion tends to be about, silencing your own questions, shoving down inside what your real thoughts and feelings are about things, not feeling free to express yourself. And so a lot of people have a lot of things that are really shut up down inside of them. But maybe spirituality for you going forward is to have your voice back, to express yourself, to break that silence in whatever way it really relates to you. A few more categories to think about. Another one is adding beauty. Adding beauty to the world. There's a quote I love that says, the world will be saved by beauty. And maybe you were meant to contribute to the salvation of this world through contributing beauty. There is so much hate. There is so much ugliness in our world. But what would it mean for you to offer beauty into this world? As an artist, as a musician, as a photographer, as a gardener, as a tattoo artist, as a writer, in whatever way really draws forth that creativity within you. Adding beauty to this world is such a profound spiritual expression, and you may find this to be part of your path going forward. Another one is to continue educating yourself. Religion divides up the world in sacred and secular, and so many people in religion, it really kind of stunted their personal development and their growth. We stuck to all these subjects and all these teachings and theology and God, and in many quarters of Christianity, there's sort of this distrust of fields like science or psychology or even art. These are sometimes considered to be secular areas that are not really worth exploring. So maybe a part of you going forward is to educate yourself. Read if you want. It's okay. They don't have to be spiritual books. They don't have to be books that are sort of overtly about God or theology or spirituality. Take an online course. There are so many free online courses that are offered in every field imaginable, in the sciences, technology, the humanitarianism, the arts. Some of these free courses are offered by the top universities and people that are considered the leading thinkers in these areas, in these fields. And so educate yourself. It's okay. I wish I had taken more history back in my days in college, and lately I've been reading and exploring various aspects of history. It's been very meaningful. It's really had a very deep impact on my own growth and development as a human being. Here's one: challenge your limitations. And that might be an aspect of what spirituality means for you. I'm an ultra runner, which means that I run very long distances, 50 miles, 100 miles. And there's been something about challenging my physical limitations and the challenges of endurance running that has really called forth so many qualities and characteristics and so many realities within me, the things that I've had to face in being an endurance runner. And the people that I've met and connected with along the way have been very significant sources of spirituality for me. And I don't know what those are for you. Maybe it's something in fitness. I know of a woman who recently took up weightlifting. And that has been a very important aspect of her relationship with her body and her spiritual life. Maybe it's learning a new skill, a new talent, a hobby. But challenge your limitations. Break out of your comfort zone and do those things that you have always wanted to do, or that you were curious or inquisitive about exploring, but maybe you just never have, or just religion seemed to dissuade you from doing these kinds of things. Start roundtable discussions with people. I speak often about how we have so much lost this sort of public intellectual life where friends and people just gather together at coffee shops and they discuss the issues of the day. They learn from each other. I mean, real conversation where you're open to learning something from another person's point of view. Have those kinds of conversations, those coffee roundtable types of connections. Explore and share new music. Music is such a central and profound aspect of spirituality. It always has been. So explore, share music with other people, connect with other people around this idea of exploring new music. I have a friend on Facebook who has started a thing where she is sharing new music and having other people do the same. It's been I've gained so much from being exposed to these different kinds of music that have moved my soul. You know, there has been something that has triggered and nurtured and called forth that higher awareness within me, those feelings of joy and peace and solidarity inside myself. Music, playing it, listening to it, sharing it is such an important aspect of the spiritual life. So this is just the short list. I mean, you know, I could go on for hours and endless videos in opening up all kinds of areas and possibilities for what it might mean for you to leave a spiritual life. So these are just a few considerations as you work on that Module 3 activity of determining what these things might be for you. Now, in the next module, Module 4, I'm going to focus more on this idea of building a revolutionary spirituality. But before we get there, it's so important that you really spend the time and energy and focus on this activity for Module 3. So spend as much time as you need for that. You know, this is a self-paced course. We're in no hurry. So work on that, and then I shall see you for the next video in Module 4.